those that don't know, back before Games Workshop brought its subsidiary Forge World into the fold, Forge World was where you could get specialized models and terrain. And in order to promote said products, Forge World also created campaigns and told stories within the Warhammer 40k universe where these units were seen. These campaigns are where we got characters like Taros the Redwake and the entire Death Korps of Krieg army line. One of these campaigns was the Taros campaign, meant to help flesh out the Tau and Imperial Guard model lines. The Tau got specialized crew units, new battle suits, new speeders, and tank units. But most importantly, new air units, both for the Tau and the Imperial Guard. This campaign is one that is infamous for the deployment of the Tau's Barracuda fighter, Orca dropship, the Titan-killing Tiger Shark, and the famous Tau Manta, the Tau's largest single model to date. Now, don't think that the Guard didn't get some love too. Taros also introduced the Elysian drop troop model line, as well as giving love to the Talern Desert Raiders. The Elysians are a fun aerial insertion army, focused on dropping in light armor and infantry units, while the Talern are focused on fast armored assaults. A seemingly perfect counter to the Tau. Keyword being seemingly. Taros is the campaign in canon where the Tau show off how they have learned from the Damocles Gulf Crusade, and show us that the Tau are a serious threat to the Imperium of Man now. And the Imperium learned all of this over a backwater mining world. So, let's talk about the Taros campaign, how the Imperium royally screwed up, and experience 40k's version of the First Gulf War. Yes, I am dead serious. That was the inspiration for this campaign. Our story begins in M41998, not on the planet of the titular name, but with Cadia. You see, the Imperium seers were predicting the next Black Crusade of Abaddon the Despoiler. So, when given this piece of news, and seeing how the 12th Black Crusade was a shit show, the Imperium ordered every Forge World they could to step up production, and in turn, ordered resource-rich worlds to boost their production of said resources. Now, in order to figure out how much everyone had to increase their production lines, auditors were sent out by the Forge Worlds to get a proper idea of what they could do. The Forge World of Styges 8 ran their records and came across the backwater mining world of Taros. Now, Taros wasn't anything special, and although its records indicate that its mineral wealth was vast, it was also on the border of the Tau Empire. So, with that in mind, the Auditor Task Force was sent out, keeping it a secret to make sure those on Taros didn't have anything to hide. Once the task force arrived and made their presence known, the rulers of Taros, of course, made sure to welcome the surprise audit with as much grandiosity as possible, and even willingly opened themselves up for whatever the Imperial auditors needed. Although it appeared smooth, the audit's leading tech priest ran into inconsistencies. Comparing his older records to Taros' current records, and doing the math, the tech priest became suspicious, as the mineral wealth the records indicated was either not there, or in much lower quantities than Taros' records revealed. As well, areas that were said to be tapped completely or untouched appeared to be the complete opposite upon inspection. So that he didn't alert the auditor group or the rulers of Taros, the tech priest compiled all this data in secret. Once the audit was complete, the tech priest relayed his findings back to Styges 8, and although it was highly suspicious, at first, it didn't alert the Imperium or Styges, as irregularities happen all the time. Though in the nearby Denab system to Taros, an Imperial Navy patrol found a Tau way station, and a supply group of Imperials offloading supplies to said station, and their manifest revealed that they had come from Taros. With this new evidence and the audit from Taros, it was clear that Taros' ruling elite had been working with the Tau for some time, and that things needed to be done to fix it. The Imperium launched an operation to take out the planetary governor and install a fresh and loyal governor. The group chosen for this was the Avenging Sun Space Marine chapter, and the operation was a complete disaster.
At last the roof goes on, and nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong!
The Avenging Suns chapter sent their second company to take out the Planetary Defense Force, PDF, and planetary rulers. When they arrived, they faced some resistance from the local PDF and took out the command structure, but they failed to find and kill the governor. And even worse, a day after taking the governor's palace, the Avenging Suns were pinned down by Tau strike forces, battlesuit cadres, and strike fighters strafing their positions. The Avenging Suns weren't prepared for the Tau garrison and brutal onslaught of their hammerhead gunships and crisis suits, and in only 2 days, the Avenging Suns retreated from Taros with only 40% of their second company left. With the defeat of a prominent chapter and the revelation of a Tau garrison on the planet, the Imperium marked Taros as a planet in full revolt, and organized an invasion force to take the backwater planet back. Now, the problem became finding forces that were available to do this. Originally, the plan was to have 10 Imperial Guard regiments, with the majority of them being regiments from Talern, as their people were experts in desert warfare, and Elysian regiments, as their airborne units could hopefully match Tau air units. Though the regiments they got were either inexperienced combat units or were badly mauled from other campaigns. Even worse, the regiments they wanted weren't available. The Mordian regiment they wanted was redirected to deal with the Second Tyrannic War, while another regiment they wanted was found only to be a company-sized force, so they were disbanded and absorbed into badly mauled Talern units to help fix those numbers up. Eventually, they did get the 8th Brimlock Dragoons, who fought in the Damocles Gulf campaign, and the Krieg 19th Siege Army was available, although they took time to get to Taros and missed the start of the invasion. The invasion force was reinforced by the 3rd and 6th companies of the Raptor Space Marine chapter and was backed by 4 Warhound Titans of Legio Ignatum, along with other supporting elements from the Mechanicus and Naval forces. With this force, it was believed Taros would be taken back in a couple of weeks and things would get back on schedule shortly. Yeah, if you believe that, you're one grot short of a wah, my friend. Though, as the invasion fleet entered the Taros system, they found no sign of a Tau defense fleet. So, cautiously, the Imperial fleet crept up to Taros, tasking the Raptors to deploy to the planet and take out orbital defense silos, and they took the majority of them out with little effort. That allowed the Imperials to begin landing on Taros en masse, and for a whole 2 weeks, the Tau defenders and local PDF left the Imperials alone, letting them set up a landing zone uncontested. With the initial wave of troops in place and the Raptors on standby now, the plan was pretty simple. Take the capital city of Tarokeen, then just keep the pressure on until the Tau are wiped out. Though, slight arguments began to break out, as Imperial generals wanted the Raptors to conduct distraction operations to keep the Tau off of the main Imperial force, but the acting Raptors commander said that that would be a waste of his and his chapter's time and resources. So things were starting to get bumpy. Things took a sudden turn, as on the first day, the Imperial forces used a creeping barrage strategy, having their artillery bombard areas ahead of their forces to clear the way of supposedly entrenched Tau positions. When Imperial forces got to those positions, they found nothing there but blasted rock and scorched desert. Day 1 was a waste of ammo. Up in orbit, the situation changed drastically, as a Tau fleet slipped into the system unnoticed and began harassing and attacking Imperial supply and reinforcement convoys. Most notably, the 8th Brimlock Dragoons, the experienced veterans of the Damocles Gulf Crusade, were wiped out as their transport was one of the many casualties from the Tau's hit-and-run operation. With these mounting problems, the fleet couldn't promise steady supplies to the ground forces anymore. Day 2 of the invasion proved just how out of their depth the Imperium was here, as the Tau launched their assault as soon as the Imperials left their nightly defensive positions. The Imperials didn't realize that the Tau had been studying them with advanced stealth battlesuit units and Pathfinder recon squads for the weeks they hadn't been engaging. The Tau commander Longknife gave a firm directive. Do not engage the Imperials in direct warfare. Keep them at maximum range, hit any commanders, supply vehicles, and tanks you can, then fade away into the desert before a proper response can come. And that's just what the Tau did. Using Hammerhead and Skyray gunships, along with Tau sniper teams and stealth suit units, spotting for them or taking their own actions, the Tau brutally mauled the Imperial formations, with the Tau air forces doing strafing runs on out-of-position infantry platoons and artillery units. When the Imperials tried to respond, the Tau were already gone, moving to ambush the Imperials again and repeat the process. Even worse for the Imperials, they found out how scary the Tau auxiliaries could be. The 17th Armored Talon Regiment was ordered to take the Fira Heights, so that the Imperials could hopefully outflank the Tau forces. Much to the shock and horror of the 17th, the Kroot auxiliaries had set up within the rocky passes and used this to their advantage to drag the 17th into better close-range battles and show off how much of a terror of their rider units and monsters like the Greater Narlock were in close-quarters fighting. With the 17th stuck fighting and only 350 kilometers from the drop zone having been taken, things were bad for the Imperials on Taros. The Tau air units were clearly superior to the Imperials, and air superiority was a losing game for them, leading to the Imperial invasion forces getting bogged down. And after 42 days of this on repeat, the Imperial supply line was dangerously limited. Whole squads of Talon fighters had begun to die from dehydration, leading Imperial Command to launch Operation Comet, trying to take a water processing plant that was north of the Imperial line, with the Elysians being deployed to take and hold it. That plan went up in smoke, as the Elysians that were deployed did take the plant, only to get bogged down in a siege of Tau armored units and battlesuits. The Raptor Space Marine chapter in Legio Ignatum tried to break through Tau lines to assist them, but the Tau revealed their new anti-Titan gunship, the Tiger Shark, destroying a Warhound Titan in a single volley. With the Tau slowing any reinforcements, the Elysian unit that was holding the plant was wiped out, and its commanding officer was taken alive. With the campaign stalled and troops dying more to exposure and dehydration than the Tau's hit-and-run operations, the commanding generals were replaced by Commissar General Mordred Vaughn, who sent the previous commanders to serve on the front lines and tried to renew the assault by slimming supply lines and adjusting the plans of attack. The Imperial General Skyva, that was captured earlier at the water plant, managed to escape back to Imperial lines, and revealed that he knew where the Tau commander Longknife was. Longknife was hoping to use Skyva to negotiate with the Imperium, but Skyva told him to shove it before his successful escape attempt. This would lead to the devastating operation known as Deathblow. The plan was simple. Skyva would lead a stormtrooper regiment back to where he was held prisoner and lead a diversionary assault on the garrison, while an Imperial assassin was dropped nearby to take out Longknife. Now, which assassin would they use? The trained sniper of the Vindicare assassins? The shape-shifting assassins of the Calidus Temple? Oh, maybe the tech assassins, since the Tau are technologically advanced. Really? The Berserkers was your best choice. Okay then? With Operation Deathblow in motion, the Evisor assassin was stealth dropped onto Taros, his stasis casket opened in the desert with orders and coordinates taped to his chest, and the Berserker made his way to the base where Longknife was. The attack launched as soon as the stormtroopers confirmed the assassin was on site. However, the assassin didn't find Longknife, but instead found a Tau ethereal by the name of Envray, who was overseeing the POW camp's conditions. The assassin got into a battle with the ethereal bodyguards and prison garrison, only for the assassin's self-destruct button to go off, killing himself and the ethereal. While Longknife was successful in destroying the stormtrooper regiment, he was mortified to learn of the death of Envray. With the death of the ethereal, the Imperial invasion was confused. The Tau didn't attack the Imperials for a week, But when the Tau response came, it wasn't the disciplined attack like the Imperials had faced before. It was as if the Tau had embodied the rage of the Doomslayer. They were filled with a suicidal vengeance for their fallen ethereal, no longer shouting for the greater good, but for Envray instead. The counterattack was so fast and devastating that Imperial forces started to abandon their tanks in the deserts, as they just made them easier targets, and it was faster to run than hide in tanks and transports that were running out of fuel. With the ground campaign changing completely for the worse, Commissar General Vaughn ordered a full withdrawal from the fleet in orbit. The Tau onslaught was too much, and after losing their Warhound Titan, Legio Ignanum had fully withdrawn from the campaign, meaning there was no way to recover from the situation. It was utter chaos at the landing zone, with Imperial troopers desperate to get on board with the limited amount of transports available. The Raptors deployed in rapid defensive actions to hold off the Tau assault as best they could, though that too was a losing battle, as the Tau were throwing everything they had at the drop zone, destroying anything they could get in revenge, and throwing even their Titan gunships, the Mantas, at the drop zone. Eventually, the Imperials were able to evacuate what was left of their forces, and the Raptors were the last troops to leave Taros. The invasion of Taros was a failure. The aftermath of Taros was even more of a waste of Imperial resources than it would have been to just leave it be. The Imperium lost over 30,000 troops. 10,000 were killed, with a further 20,000 captured. Hundreds of tanks, APCs, and artillery units, along with a cruiser and 8 escorts, all were destroyed. The resources the Imperium spent to invade Taros were worth way more than the resources they would have gained from it. And the Imperium would not learn from this! The Tau, now the sole rulers of Taros, would rename it Taros, and it was added to the Tau's growing Third Sphere expansion, its mineral resources and wealth being used to fuel the Tau's expansion even into M42. Though multiple times, the Tau did try to give the Imperium an out. The Tau's peace envoys were rejected multiple times throughout the campaign, and when Longknife met with General Skyva, he was willing to make a trade. The Tau keep Taros, but hand over the traitor PDF and Planetary Governor and give the Imperium a safe evac and path out of the system, so the Imperium could save face. The deal was soundly rejected by Skyva, who never even brought it up to his other commanders when he got back. Taros was a campaign to show how stubborn and self-destructive the Imperium is, demonstrating that they overcommit and lose more than they ever gain, and the forces they could scrounge together were wasted on a self-admitted backwater planet of little strategic importance outside of mineral wealth that the Imperium could have gotten elsewhere. As well, it was clear that the Tau had learned from Damocles Gulf. The Tau kept the Imperium at arm's length the entire campaign, harassing their supply lines and never getting to pitched battles with them. Though by the end, the Tau also proved that they could have crushed the Imperials with sheer weight by the end, as their Mantas and Tiger Sharks didn't have any counters, outside of the Raptors deploying forces onto them directly, which the Raptors knew would be a losing battle anyway, as crisis suits would have just deployed to counter them. Later on in M42, the Imperium would reconquer Taros, but that's only because the Tau were focused on other campaigns, with that story being told in the tabletop game Aeronautica, though it was made clear the Tau were coming back for it in force, and it's debatable if the Imperium can hold it. So we will see how that goes if we get another Tau expansion campaign. But why are the Tau like this? Why did they go Doomslayer when the Ethereal was killed? Are they brainwashed? Or is it just anger over a spiritual leader being killed? Well, when we come back, we will talk about the need-to-know information on the Tau Empire. And after that, there will be a new poll on Patreon to decide what we cover next. Also, if you want to watch me playing games, painting, or just chilling out, go follow my Twitch. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications, and share it with your friends who want to get into Warhammer. It helps me more than you know. Also, if we get to 15k subs on YouTube, I'll review Fire Warrior and stream it live for all of you to watch me suffer. But until then, I'll see you all next time.